takes. Yeah. And some people want that, right? And you want different things at different points in time. Think the book is a level systems believer. Comment was a reference to Mr. Girl and Brittany Simmons drama. Gotcha. Chud is a man of the people. He has street smarts that work on the mean streets of Southampton, but his brain isn't smooth enough for some Twitch discourses. I see. He's calling us dumb guys. Personally, I was just memeing about the intelligence. Okay, good to know. Maybe I'm just taking what was meant to be a joke far too seriously. I just want to make sure that's not what you're getting at, what I'm saying. His BNB only pays for 5 gigabytes of data a month, and he hit it already. Oh, rip. Is the stream all done? It doesn't look like it. No, I'm staying at Lemony's house, if you're familiar with her. Let's see here. So far, backup chat not seen the F. It should still be there, so I don't know what to tell you. Anywho, let us continue listening to this. Let us continue playing this, and we'll see what's going on. There are occasional dips. I'm very sorry. The internet is outside of my control. If I was a Wi-Fi god, I would make it happen for you, but I am not.
That would have got under his skin. Why didn't you go for those things?
Well, I don't like, okay, so for me, I tend not to go after someone's appearance because I don't show myself and I feel that's unfair. Like, if someone can't shit talk me for my appearance, I don't think it's right that I shit talk them for their appearance, right? So I try and keep it relatively fair.
That's the only reason you don't shit talk people's appearance, because they can't see what you look like? Are you serious?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Chud,
that's
when you
the
say
only
that,
reason. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
When you say
I used to do it. I used to do it, but people pointed out to me and said, well, this is a bit unfair because you don't show yourself. And I agreed that, like, yeah, it's unfair of me to mock someone else's appearance if they can't mock mine.
But then when you say that, though, it sounds like you can go after their viewer count because people can see that, and that's something you can stand behind. So it does feel like you're throwing stones from a tower at that point, right?
What do you mean?
Like, your viewer count is out there, but your face isn't. So it sounds like you feel more justified in making fun of somebody's viewer count, which yours you feel okay about, so you're not worried, but somebody else might be worried about theirs, so you're going to go after that.
There's things I'm sensitive about and I'm self-conscious about, right? And if someone wants to come for me and they've not got the wherewithal to attack that, then that's on them. Tough shit, you missed your shot, and I'm going to come back at you with full force. Like, yeah.
I just don't buy this idea that you will only not mock people's appearances because they can't see what you look like. What kind of message does that send to the world, man?
So then we could just ask him about the implications then of that. So with Chud, let's say that you had your camera up. Let's say, I don't know what you look like, but let's say that you're
one thing I'm gonna say just real quick. Thank fucking God for Relly. The only reason I've continued being interested in this is because Relly joined. I don't think that Rhizome helped much at all. I don't think that if it was just IRI and Chud, it would be interesting at all. Rhizome is adding a new flavor to the conversation that I personally been enjoying.
Very average looking guy. All right.
Okay.
With a very below average looking chat. No, I'm kidding. Right? You're a very average looking guy, and then somebody's coming at you who's overweight. Would you say it's good or not good then? Justified to be able to make fun of this person for their weight?
Okay. I don't know. I don't like the idea of mocking someone for their weight. That feels a bit harsh. It feels a bit too harsh. Do you know what I mean?
Go into that why.
I don't disagree, but yeah, I'd love to hear why.
Well, I think that, like, when it comes to weight, I don't think weight is always like something you can look at or it's indicative of. Like, weight gets associated with like overeating and greed and stuff like that, and a lot of the insults are centered around that, and I don't necessarily see it as like weight is linked in that way to that thing. Do you see what I mean?
For sure. Do you think
it's
that
like under the belt, it's like a low blow, you know, I guess is how I put it.
Certainly. Do you think that low viewer count could have similar associations like I was previously kind of getting at with like bad content and stuff like that? Do you think that like low viewer count, and if it does have those associations, do you feel more comfortable with like having those potential assumptions or associations like be made on a person? Like, I don't really care if people think this guy might have bad content because he just said that, like, I don't know, all British people are pedophiles, or I don't know what they would say to get under your skin, you know, inner whatever bullshit thing they would have to say about you. Right? They said something stupid about you, so I don't really care if people assume this guy has bad content because of his low viewer count. I'm gonna go out his viewer count, which can be a justified position that you can hold. I just want to know if that's...
So Rabbit Wombat says that's a little backward for me since people's weight is more in their control than their viewer count. Both should be open game for Chud based on his philosophy. Yeah, so here's the thing. In case you didn't know this about me, I get a sneaking suspicion that most people don't operate off of logic and rules about the way they think and feel about things. And feel is going to be the important word there. I think most of us feel through situations. We might point to things that are half of our brain that sits quiet and processes language most of the time likes the ring of, and it makes sense, and then we think that's why we think things. But I think most of it is emotional. It is moment to moment decisions about our behaviors that then ripple out over time as habits are built. So Chud may have had an inciting moment where somebody mentioned, hey, you shouldn't make fun of this guy because you're not on screen. But it's not just that inciting moment that caused Chud to behave this way. It could have been also other things that were backed up to that point. Weight being something maybe that's out of the control of some people. Weight not being indicative of the criticisms that people associate it with, like Relly is saying here for view count. It could have been a lot of other stuff. And just that point rung clear in his ear. And then that's what he will give as the reason and stuff. But I think most of us are operating at emotional levels. So what I fear is by giving that one logical foothold to hang on to, as you said, we're going to be able to pick apart Chud's reason for a lot of different kinds of insults based on that, pick that rule, pretend that he follows that rule all of the time, and then apply it to a bunch of different situations. And I think what we'll discover is not that Chud is a hypocrite, not that Chud fucking isn't following his logical system or whatever. What we find is that the logic system is something that is drawn haphazardly on top of what is in reality emotional decisions about why to and not to participate in certain kinds of actions. And I think that's how most people act. And especially the people who feel the need to convince you that everything that they do is based on logic. I think a lot of the times those are the people who are not being very logical in the way that they make decisions generally. They just stumble upon or work very hard on forging a system that already corresponds to existing behavior. And as problems and things are pointed out to them because they personally value there being discrepancies between their logical explanations behind how they act and how they are acting, then they'll fill in the gaps as necessary to account for the way that they actually behave naturally. And that's been a criticism I've had of the space since I first joined it. I think it would be more helpful for us to understand that. Because we might get Chud into a place where we corner him into admitting one thing or admitting another thing. Perhaps it is enough for him to change his behavior or something like that, the way that inciting moment was about the point about him not showing his face. But I think that it's a worrying stage play that doesn't really account for how people think and how they make decisions. But I don't know. Some people disagree with me on that. We got a famous person in the chat. Aristocracy TV says, I don't think adults should make fun of one another's appearance. I did it once on this platform and I still feel bad about it. I love Chud, but I disagree with him here. But you can't blame him because the space rewards that kind of thing. Yeah, and it's the content that he makes. You know what I mean? You can blame people for doing the wrong thing that benefits them. Sure, yes, you can, but you're going to have a hard time with that on Twitch. I'll tell you what, motherfucker, especially if you're another content creator, because then we could just look at your success as a content creator and make fun of you and say you don't understand how it works. Now, the awkward thing about that is by choosing to continue to behave that way and build success on that and a brand on that, you're making it that way. It's a lot like... And again, I'll bring it back to this because maybe you guys will be more privy to this kind of argument. It's a lot like when people that are successful in capitalism then put it on other people for not being successful in capitalism and continue to reinforce rules and traditions that enabled their success while pushing down people who likely will not be successful in the system, right? It's a lot like climbing up the ladder all the way and then building more ladders so that other people are going to have a more difficult time, or lubing up the fucking steps on the way up there, or whatever else, right? It's tough because you're part of creating that system by like doing this, but you know, that's a less friendly argument that more people argue against me on, so I won't sit here and go too deep into it. Anywho, I would imagine there are some low or no viewer Andys out there with amazing high effort content. Yes, and that is kind of necessarily, I think, where people start. Rhizome started with way fewer viewers. And Rhizome, in my opinion, has high effort, high quality content. Look at his fucking text setup. It's incredible. Look at his fucking the effort that he puts into chat integration. It's incredible. Look at his branding. It's incredible. He had all the marks of what would be a successful streamer with a successful brand. And this is something I made clear to him in private, like as soon as I was able to book a conversation with him and talk with him. And that's also why I told Rhizome, hey, you ever run into problems with this? You ever get doomer on this? You ever feel like you want to quit this and keep doing teaching and fuck this space? Talk to me. Because I want to help you keep doing this, whether it's in Twitch politics or it's doing something else, because you have the technical know